Let's take a look at your news headlines now. It's not yet clear if former President Jacob Zuma and his co-accused French arms company Thales will appeal against last week's High Court ruling that dismissed their application for a permanent stay of prosecution. The trial is set down for today at the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg. The fraud, corruption, racketeering and money laundering charges date back to the multi-billion rand arms deal in 1990s. So for more on what's expected in the courtroom today, let's cross to Ayanda Mhlongo in Pietermaritzburg. Ayanda, good morning to you. There's obviously slowly a crowd beginning to form. I believe it starts at 9 o'clock. But is there any indication that we can expect a very large turnout today for the support of the former president?
Well, a very good morning to you again, Leanne. Good morning to our viewers. Certainly, Leanne, speaking to the supporters or those that are responsible for mobilizing support for the former president, they did say indeed that this time around they would be mobilizing people. They're expecting buses from across the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Majority of those expected to come from the eThekwini area to come here in support of the former president. And in fact, Leanne, it's becoming quite busy outside. More and more police officers have arrived. There's a lot of private security as well. And I'm just looking across from where I am now. I am starting to see some of the leaders of the ANC here in the area of Pietermaritzburg. Of course, as those that are responsible for the former president's support. To also see some of the leaders of the MK here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. They are here as well. And those buses expected on some, we are told, are now making their way here. And they did say that this time, indeed, there is going to be quite a large crowd at the stage. Is already being set up now as we speak, and as per the previous appearances would know, Leanne, that once the court proceedings are done, the president then just walks, or the former president will then walk across the court directly to the Freedom Square, where he will then address his supporters. But of course, Leanne, while a lot of people will be gathering outside the court, importantly it will be what is going to be happening inside court in terms of the direction that the former president and his co-accused French arms company Thales are expected to take, whether or not they are going to file that leave to appeal. Let me quickly now bring in our legal expert, Advocate Makhosazana Mbonani, just to share with us. Advocate, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Just to quickly share with us what we can expect. Of course, the judgment on Friday, the former president losing his application for a permanent stay. What can we expect inside the court? Do you foresee that he is going to lodge an appeal?
Good morning, Ayanda, and thank you for having me. One of two things can happen today. You remember that from May, this date has been set as a holding date when the trial is supposed to begin for all the counts against the accused. And they made the application for a permanent stay, which was dismissed. So whenever you make an application, and any interlocutory application, you have about 15 court days to file your application for leave to appeal, so as to set aside the decision of the courts that made that decision. So the former president and his co-accused still have that time limit, still within those time limits, to file that appeal against a decision that was handed down on Friday. So they are within their rights to file for leave to appeal, and they may approach the Supreme Court of Appeals or the Constitutional Court of Appeals, or first the Supreme Court of Appeals and then the Constitutional Court if it doesn't go their way.
Advocate, you're just saying that they have 15 days, which could not necessarily mean that they'd file that leave to appeal today. However, the trial is supposed to start. So what then is likely to happen? Would they then have to tell the court that they intend within the next 15 days that they do then intend to file their leave to appeal?
Correctly said there, Ayanda. If they are going to file for to have the decision appealed, they would need to file for a postponement in this criminal trial, because you have to remember that the application is a civil application and the trial is supposed to commence today as a criminal trial. So they would need to postpone the trial, and they would need to give the courts their reasons for the postponement of the trial, and that would be that they intend to file an application for leave to appeal.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Advocate Makhosazana Mbonani, thanks very much. I know she'll be joining us throughout the day made there, of course, just explaining what we can expect here today, Leanne. But as the court gets underway, we'll then get to find out from the former president's defense team whether indeed he is going to ask for that postponement for him to be able to file that leave to appeal. We're going to leave it now here for now, Leanne, and back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Ayanda. We'll continue to cross into you, so that trial expected to start in about an hour and a half from now. Let's take a break. When we return, the